Good morning. Welcome. I am so glad you all are here with us today for this special edition of EnergyBin Insights as we present our 2022 PV module price index for the secondary solar market. My name is Renee Keel. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at EnergyBin, and I've been with the company for 15 years. I'm joined by the very talented Melissa Schmid, who is our marketing manager and author of the price index report we're presenting today. Melissa has done an excellent job with the data analysis for this report, and I'm grateful to be presenting our findings alongside her. So today's webinar is being recorded, and we'll share the full recording in a follow-up email with everyone who's registered. And then please share that with colleagues who may have missed us live, of course, and then you have it as a resource for yourself. Alrighty, let's get started here. A bit of background for anyone new to EnergyBin. Our parent company, the Broker Exchange Network, has 21 plus years of experience within the secondary market. Our sister site, brokerbin.com, is truly the world leader in the secondary market within the B2B technology industry. EnergyBin is a networking solution for PV professionals who provide repair, resale, and recycling. And I'm super proud to say that EnergyBin leads the industry in making connections and providing trade and education within the secondary market. We are determined to deliver an alternative option to the typical supply chain, which will then increase sustainability and longevity across the board for the entire solar industry. EnergyBin is fully committed to accelerating a robust and sustainable secondary market. Okay, so on to the reason we're here today. For the second year in a row, we've published the PV module price index for the secondary solar market. In today's webinar, Melissa and I will be walking us through the report and our findings. We'll cover what the report is about, secondary market conditions, the modules analyzed, the average price per watts and power ranges, as well as the trends we spotted in the data. Quick note here that the link you're seeing at the bottom of this slide is the link to the report, which is also posted in the chat box of this webinar. You can find it on energybin.com, and we'll send a follow-up email with the report link included as well. So plenty of ways to get a copy of the full report. Okay, I'm very excited to hand it over now to Melissa so she can jump right in.
All right. Good morning once again, everyone. I just posted that link for you in the chat box. And then, as Renee said, we'll also send it out in an email following this webinar tomorrow with this recording for you. The PV module price index tracks and reports on crystalline silicon module trade within the secondary market. Results are based on modules listed for resale on EnergyBin, which, as Renee mentioned, is a B2B wholesale exchange, and therefore the prices you see listed on the report are wholesale prices, not retail prices. Thin film modules are excluded from this price index because over 99% of modules listed for sale on EnergyBin are crystalline silicon. We want to clarify how EnergyBin differs from your typical e-commerce website or marketplace, as having a clear understanding will aid you in interpreting this report. EnergyBin is an exchange platform designed to ensure fair and orderly trading. We facilitate connections between buyers and sellers, and we efficiently disseminate pricing and availability information for modules and other PV hardware like inverters and batteries, for example, traded on the exchange. Unlike an e-commerce marketplace where transactions occur via a website that adds some sort of transactional fee, usually a percentage of the final sale price, no transaction occurs on the EnergyBin secure portal. Rather, transactions take place between the buyer and the seller to protect proprietary contractual information. This graph we are viewing now shows monthly price variations by module class from December 2020 through December 2022. By downloading the report, you can view a table that lists the weighted average price per watt by module class per month over this time frame. Especially in 2022, we see prices for all black, bifacial, and high efficiency modules fluctuating for most of the year before decreasing in Q4. We'll explain the market conditions that affect pricing in a bit. First, we want to take a moment and define what the secondary market is. The secondary market is like the ITAD of the solar industry. Had to throw that in since we have a 20-year background in the IT industry.
Yeah.
But I guess, Renee, that would be more like PVAD.
Yeah, I think so. Makes sense.
The secondary market is the space where asset disposition, including repair, resale, and recycling of PV hardware takes place. Essentially, we want you to walk away from this webinar with a clear understanding of three main functions that the secondary market serves. First, it provides another opportunity to resell new hardware that has fallen out of the traditional channels. On EnergyBin, roughly 91% of modules traded are new and 9% are used. And just to give you an example of new equipment for sale, and why that might be. Recently, a seller listed 5,200 pieces of 480 watt Q-cell modules for resale after a project was canceled. This particular example is very common. We've seen it a lot in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
The second function of a robust secondary market is the ability to extend the lifespan of used products that are not yet ready for recycling, or in other words, they have resale value. And third, it creates a pathway for end-of-life hardware to ultimately be recycled and for valuable materials to be recovered, rather than solar waste going to landfills.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. So I had to beg Melissa to let me cover this next slide. I'm just kidding. She knew I'd really want to because I just love stories like the one this slide tells. So a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So this picture you're seeing here is from our broadcast system on EnergyBin. It was attached to a want to sell broadcast. This photo is a 9,200 piece lot. The modules are Q cells, and they had been in production for less than 2 years at the time of resale. They had been removed due to the property being sold to a developer. The seller then bought them at an auction and posted them on EnergyBin with an asking price of 25 cents per watt. They sold via EnergyBin to buyers for 30 to 35 cents per watt. Excellent. I absolutely love this example of how powerful the secondary market is. So we know from over 20 years of experience on the IT side of things that this kind of activity is exactly what it will take to commoditize solar. And if we want solar to go mainstream, it will need a strong secondary market. How we create a circular economy is via resale, repair, and reuse. That's the only real sustainable way. Single use, or worse, never used and then recycled, is actually irresponsible. Okay, so what are the secondary market conditions on EnergyBin today? Well, we have new and used products that for a variety of reasons have fallen out of the typical supply chain, as Melissa has mentioned. The circumstances around the available gear is endless. There are sellers are listing remarketed products coming from clearance, closeout, surplus. There are asset liquidations from company acquisitions and bankruptcies, as an example. There's product left over from bulk purchases and project installations that have never been installed. There's product available due to project cancellations, delays, and downsized projects. This is just a few scenarios of product that has life and should be resold. Okay, side note, imagine just for a moment if we didn't get as much of those products as possible back in circulation. It really would be a tragic loss of resources when working solar equipment goes unused. obviously. So buyers on EnergyBin are looking for alternative sourcing for several reasons, including getting quotes from multiple sellers in one place, bulk order discounts, wanting to locate hard to find hardware, replacement parts, and buying low to resell to end users, to just name a few. Okay, so one last note on the market conditions of EnergyBin, because I'm so excited for the direction the secondary market is going. The total modules for sale from January 2022 versus January 2023 on EnergyBin alone have quadrupled. In 2022, we had nearly 51,000 modules for sale versus over 195,000 for sale in January 2023. That represents 20 megawatts versus 83 megawatts, which is just absolutely amazing. I'm thrilled about this, Melissa.
I hope that trend continues, because it really is a testament that people are looking for that alternative or that extension of the product's lifespan, whether it's new or used. And that's a really good indicator that we're on the right track with developing a robust and sustainable secondary market.
Yeah, absolutely.
When reading the price index, take into consideration that these findings are based on modules traded in the secondary market, and therefore the following applies. First of all, the price per watt is based on spot prices by the pallet of crystalline-silicon PV modules listed for sale on the EnergyBin wholesale exchange. So again, these prices are not retail. The price per watt was calculated as a weighted average per module class per month. Prices are quoted by sellers for the US market. Although EnergyBin is a global exchange, the data sample size we collected is the most significant for US prices, and therefore we excluded US sales listings from the report, or sorry, we excluded non-US sales listings from the report. But this may change in the future as EnergyBin's membership grows and site activity produces a more meaningful sample size to track global prices. Okay, this next bullet point is really important to understand. So prices may or may not include import duties, but I think it's very safe to assume that these products that we're talking about have cleared customs, if not months, then years ago. We say may or may not include import duties because, as we all know, bifacials were, from a time exempt from Section 201 tariffs, and then they were not exempt, and then now they're exempt again, and so forth. And there's different exclusions to tariffs that may or may not apply to particular lots. However, as we've been saying, we are assuming that all of these goods that we're talking about have already entered the primary market at some point. And then in time, due to various scenarios that we've talked about, they have gone through that process, fallen out of that process, and now have been either in the US for months or perhaps even years. All of our sales listings on EnergyBin do note a location where the goods are stored, and so we use that as an indicator for this report to include in our sample size those that list a US warehouse or site location. So just keep that in mind, because that's really important as you're looking at these prices. And then finally, the last report criteria factor is that discounted prices for minimum quantity orders of one or more containers are excluded from this price index. You can find lots of bulk order discounts on EnergyBin just because we are a wholesale exchange. But the primary reason why we excluded those bulk discount prices is to be in a position to compare pricing across other indices in the industry which use pallet pricing. I should also note that EnergyBin's membership comprises PV companies who primarily operate in the commercial and residential sectors, and therefore pricing tends to reflect these sectors more so than utility scale. But that doesn't mean that utility scale developers and operators aren't using EnergyBin. On the contrary, they are using us primarily to resell project leftovers and source replacement parts for maintenance purposes. But you wouldn't typically see utility prices as low as what manufacturers quote to them. Okay, on to numbers. The sample size for this report contains over 3.6 million modules traded on EnergyBin from 2020 through 2022. We categorized modules by class, referencing each model's spec sheet. All black and bifacials, although considered high efficiency, are unique categories, as various factors such as made in USA brands and tariff exemptions, to name a few, appear to affect pricing. The most common classes of modules listed for sale on EnergyBin were all black, bifacial, and high efficiency, which amounted to 79%, which again, this is just amazing that such high quality, new, often with warranty, is available for resale. This share dropped by 4 percentage points from 2021 as used modules increased from 4 to 9%. The shares of mainstream and low cost also decreased from 7% and 1% respectively. Although all black prices throughout the year tracked higher than other module classes, particularly for specific brands such as assembled in the US and those that are LG. As we may or may not know, LG exited the solar panel manufacturing market last June, so now their products are in short supply. With the development of transparent backsheets and half cell technology, bifacial and high efficiency modules have gained popularity among some residential installers who seek to offer their customers an alternative price to all black. And although prices for all module classes have decreased since January 2020, percent changes for each module class are minimal, ranging from 0.2% to 4.2%. This is a second column that I'm referring to on the table. The exception being all black, which increased 17.9%. I think this is really interesting because it may be a strong indicator to show that perhaps prices are stabilizing to pre-pandemic levels, and we'll just have to watch and observe prices over the next year or two to see if that stays true. But I think it's a good hope that maybe we're on the right track, or at least in the secondary market, that prices, although they fluctuate from month to month, that over the last 3 years, they haven't increased hugely.
Right.
The report also took into consideration price and wattage ranges by module class. Module efficiency by class is new to our second annual report and is based on standard test conditions as listed by manufacturer spec sheets. The average efficiencies for all black, bifacial, and high efficiency classes were found to be in line with industry averages as quoted by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. Power ranges ranged from 120 watts to 550 watts, and over 80% of the modules were 300 watts and higher. Low to high prices, which are your first 3 columns on this table, differed from 26 cents to 53 cents per watt for each module class. We're pointing this out because it illustrates the necessity to keep a pulse on the market by regularly watching sales listings. I'm sure those of you who are EnergyBin members have made this a daily practice, which means you're the first to see when modules post at the lower end of these ranges and are able to snag those deals.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Great job on breaking down all of that data for us. Appreciate it. All right, so let's dive into the trends that we found. So trend number one, most modules for sale on EnergyBin are high efficiency. And this has been the case for 3 consecutive years and continuing. As Melissa just mentioned a moment ago, all black, bifacial, and high efficiency classes comprised 79% of total modules for sale on EnergyBin. And quick note here, just to repeat Melissa, because it was a great point that that's awesome to see that amount of new, and in many cases new with warranty, are available in the secondary market. So this high efficiency trend will likely continue in the long run. And that means there is a great opportunity for qualified repair and remanufacturing providers to meet O&M demands, as well as supply the world market with discontinued secondhand modules suited for reuse. A little bit independent of this data, another point of opportunity here is for used modules with older cell technology to just be pulled out of storage and from the back walls of warehouses to be resold. They are absolutely needed for replacement parts at a minimum. So let's reuse and repair before we start thinking about recycling. It's my little plug.
Yes, thank you for that, Renee. We'll actually get into some of the data behind secondhand modules in a bit. But first, I want to point out what we found regarding brands. Over 80% of modules listed for sale were Tier 1. This breakdown portrays the top 20 brands posted by sellers in 2021 and 2022. And due to the nature of the secondary market supply, which as previously mentioned, flows from surplus, excess, leftovers, clearance, and secondhand, brands tend to fluctuate from month to month and year to year. For example, the most widely available brand in 2021 was Synergy. Volume soared after Synergy filed bankruptcy in January and subsequently closed its California factory. Yet, in 2022, we saw a narrower distribution of market share among many brands.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Okay, trend number 3. So locating newer modules or locating new modules at lower wattage is getting more challenging, as we can clearly see here in this graph. In 2022, the volume of modules considered mainstream and low cost available for sale on EnergyBin decreased by 98% and 10% respectively, which is what we're looking at here. So because of the continued improvement of module technology, the lower wattage modules are becoming scarce, therefore making it more challenging for O&M specialists and asset owners to source parts for older systems when they prefer this option to replacement with new. Note that as supply of mainstream and low-cost modules decreased, the prices increased, of course, and this is evidenced by the month-to-month price index. So again, back to my commentary on trend number 1, this is yet another reason we point to the opportunity for used modules with older cell technology to be put back into the marketplace where there is actually demand. Again, another shameless plug. If you're sitting on older technology, please let us know.
Let's talk about secondhand modules now, Renee.
Sounds good.
And also just remember Renee's story she told earlier on in this presentation. Those secondhand modules, that lot was only 2 years young. So there needs to be something to fill that gap, because not everything that is decommissioned is absolutely ready for recycling. And I think all of us can agree that whatever asset recovery we can get out of our investments is worth at least the exploration of it. And since so many of you have asked for numbers or some kind of data surrounding pricing of secondhand modules, this slide is for you. I would point out that although secondhand modules amounted to just 9% of total modules traded on EnergyBin, prices have remained somewhat stable over the last 3 years from what we can see. The fact that used modules increased from 4% in 2021 to 9% in 2022 points to a growing number of decommissioning projects where project managers determine modules have resale value. Resellers on EnergyBin tend to quote used module prices 50 to 80% less than new. However, this is a caveat, pricing is conditional and based on multiple factors, including but not limited to the age, which is defined by the number of years the modules have been in production, the wattage, the quantity. For example, if you have a large lot, you may be able to offer more of a bulk discount. The condition, this includes your specifications as well as any defects. For instance, whether there exist glue marks, scratches, snail trails, burn marks, hot spots, cracked glass, cracked back sheets, junction box issues, or any other defects. And of course, your tested performance, including but not limited to your degradation loss, open circuit voltage, short circuit voltage, and operating current. I'd also add demand to this list. Oftentimes, sellers tend to lean on demand when assigning a resale price. The greater the demand, the higher the price buyers are willing to pay. And right now, demand seems to be very strong, especially in certain parts of the world. I say that because we have seen on EnergyBin some used module sales listings posting one day and gone the next day. And I don't know where else in the industry used modules are selling in a 24-hour turnaround time. So please don't just throw them in the landfill. At least check with someone who can appraise the modules and see if there is some kind of asset recovery that can be taken for those. Now, be advised that spot prices included in this report should be considered as a reference point, not as a universal measure. It is imperative that you take steps to inspect and test used equipment. We've written some resource articles on this topic that are available for free on EnergyBin's website, or you can email me directly and I can send you those links for those articles. We also encourage you to call in and speak with our connection experts, Rob and Thomas, who can advise you on resale strategies and connect you to members who offer appraisal and testing services for secondhand goods. And even though we're talking about modules here, I'd also throw in inverters and used batteries. We have quite a few members who specialize in refurbishing and remanufacturing of inverters and batteries as well. So please reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so here we are at our final trend. This is trend number 5, which is total supply is seasonal and prices tend to be lowest in Q4 with an increase in supply. So that is really clear by this graph that you're looking at here. One thing to note is that even as the supply chain was disrupted with shipment delays and back orders over the last 3 years, modules listed for sale on EnergyBin still followed the seasonality trend of increased supply in Q4, again, clearly shown on this graph here. Note that December spot prices for bifacial and high efficiency were pacing with EU spot prices. However, US mono PERC and bifacial prices listed were 13% higher than global spot prices. So this data here gives really good reason for buyers to systematically review sales listings as well as obtain multiple quotes from multiple sellers throughout the year, so as not to miss an opportunity to buy low.
All right. Yeah, I think that's interesting too, Renee. I'm just going to repeat what you said. I thought for sure that we wouldn't see a seasonality trend because of all of the hiccups.
Yes, right.
In the industry, but I think this is a good indicator and we'll just keep tracking seasonality to see if that remains true.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
on to maybe our favorite part of the presentation, a little bit of forecasting, but
Right.
we promise we won't be too liberal in our forecast. We'll base it on our historical data here. All in all, we believe prices will likely continue to fluctuate through 2023 in light of our ongoing supply chain constraints, and more so because of rapid demand growth. Even with the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act last August, there is a lag time before we will see its true effects. I think every industry analyst agrees with that. A supply deficit will likely continue for at least until more manufacturing capacity comes online, which is why it's exciting to hear countries like India and the United States investing tons and tons of money into adding capacity. So that's really exciting. Regarding the next bullet point, again, this prediction is based on historical data at hand. In 2023, prices for all Black and made in USA branded modules will likely cost more. As of last December, all Black module prices were posting an average of 12 cents per watt higher than bifacial and high efficiency modules. And with respect to made in USA branded modules, it's too soon really to tell whether prices will pace competitively with global prices. I'm curious about that myself and waiting to see what happens with our domestic goals of adding capacity. But currently demand for these modules outweighs supply, which is likely inflating prices for made in USA branded modules.
Mhm.
Yet, deals can be found in the secondary market for these and other modules. For example, last December, both bifacial and high efficiency prices were pacing with EU spot prices at 43 cents per watt, as Renee mentioned before. And as evidenced on the EnergyBin exchange, many sellers post the year-end clearance deals as they seek to free up storage space for incoming shipments. However, deals aren't limited to the fourth quarter. Hopefully by now you've caught on to our theme of this presentation, which is prices are in continuous fluctuation. So depending on a seller's urgency to liquidate assets, which is yet another factor affecting price fluctuations within the secondary market, it's possible to procure equipment at substantial discounts. For example, in the report, we found that all Black listed as low as 33 cents per watt and high efficiency as low as 28 cents per watt last year. For this reason, we recommend you monitor pricing and availability regularly, if not daily, so as to not miss a deal if you're a buyer and to competitively price your listings if you're a seller.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Melissa. So also looking ahead, market growth is inevitable. And we are truly, truly excited to see the secondary market begin to just absolutely explode in the next 12 to 24 months. We're thrilled about this trend. Our brokers on the IT side are already seeing the substantial opportunity within the solar secondary market. And in fact, they are taking action as well. Within the last month, a longtime member of BrokerBin posted on LinkedIn modules actually for sale, and a number of BrokerBin clients replied wanting more information on getting involved with brokering solar equipment. So this is an area in which we see huge potential. Just a reminder of the story shared a few minutes ago about the panels listed at 25 cents per watt, and then were sold at 30 to 35 cents per watt. Buy low and sell high, right? The legacy equipment is needed and the excess stock can be used. And so this is just an area that we see really a lot of growth. Again, as mentioned several times throughout today's webinar, the opportunities for resale, repair, and reuse and remanufacturing are exponential. Companies are adding additional streams of revenue to their business model and increasing the number of solar systems going online, which is just absolutely a win-win. So not only do we see many opportunities to keep solar equipment out of landfills, but we can also keep from recycling anything that still has life left in it. Right, Melissa?
Correct, yes. And recycling is a huge opportunity in and of itself, but it's exciting to not to see that so many professionals in the industry are recognizing that and advocating for reuse as well, so
Yeah,
as to not jump the gun and leave money on the table per se.
right. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, that wraps up the webinar today. Thank you so much for joining us. We believe that we covered all of the questions that were asked at registration throughout the presentation. If not, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Melissa or one of our connection experts, Rob or Thomas. Any one of us would be more than happy to help you. As mentioned at the start, we will send a follow-up email with today's recording, as well as a link to the 2022 PV module price index for the secondary market. We'll send that out to you. And then also please take a moment to check out our additional resources. Melissa mentioned earlier, they are complimentary. You can just go to EnergyBin.com and look at our resources page and check out past webinars and other blog articles, etc. We really want to be able to provide these resources to all of you. And we thank you so much for taking your time to spend with us this morning. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and thanks for what you do to advance solar energy throughout the world.
Yes.